I'm so delighted to be a part of the Fearless Hire program. I worked in oil and gas doing tax consulting for about 7.5 years before pursuing my MBA. And after receiving my MBA, I basically went to HP and worked as a senior product manager there for a few years. And I essentially joined this program to kind of figure out what are my next steps in the career? How do I understand the landscape of, how AI is being leveraged in the workspace now? And how do I get to connect with some really awesome folks who may have insights to derive and provide? So in August, I kind of made the leap of quitting my job at HP as a senior product manager. And I realized at the time, I don't necessarily know how to navigate the new game of applying for jobs, right? Like before it used to be you would apply to jobs and maybe leverage an internal hire and you'd kind of be stuck in a different pile. But now with AI like in place, combing through all these resumes, we have this new game called ATS systems, essentially, where I didn't know this until I joined the program that essentially you have to have an 80% match rate between the job description in your resume to even make it to a recruiter to see your resume. So the rules of the game have changed so drastically, in my view, in the past 2 years. And you don't necessarily know how to best optimize your resume unless you understand how the rules are changing. And so what really helped me through all of this is your course. There's a course that I didn't even realize initially when I signed up for the program that kind of walks you through what are ATS systems? Like what's something we need to do? How do we optimize your resume? And how do we make sure we leverage things like ChatGPT to frankly make things easier for you and to get into the pipeline where a recruiter actually sees your resume. The other piece that was instrumental, I would say, is just learning that LinkedIn is also a game, right? There's an algorithm behind LinkedIn that essentially works on optimization, right? Optimization of the resume that you then flow into your LinkedIn. And, the more visibility you get from, frankly, your profile and your comments and whatever you bring to the table, the more inclined a recruiter will find you. So it's all the rules of LinkedIn and resumes have all changed so drastically. And so working through your program seamlessly helped me understand what do I need to do to navigate this new environment. But what helped me is you giving me visibility into what your course looked like, right? There are different modules that I could take where I could really understand essentially what my pain points were being addressed in your modules. Um, and I'm sure, frankly, that is if I had really looked on LinkedIn more, if I'd really looked on YouTube, I'm sure I could have figured it out. But I think it would have taken more time to distill and to understand what that process would look like. You had kind of laid out those modules in those videos in a way that was digestible without wasting a lot of time because you'd
Yeah.
collated so much information from maybe your research, frankly, with other coaches and what was happening in the industry.
Yeah.
So once you kind of gave me a snapshot into what the program looks like and um, frankly, what I would benefit from, it helped me understand, okay, if I don't have to spend 30 hours a week just researching on YouTube and LinkedIn for what I need to be doing and craft my own process, if I could leverage somebody else's hard work to understand the best process and practice to implement, that could make my life easier. And that way I could spend more time with my family and truly enjoy this time. So frankly,
Absolutely.
it came down to an ROI, right? Like time value of money. I got to kind of see what other people's resume looked like in the field as well. What I didn't necessarily know at the time is that there are these top keywords if you want like a strategy role, or top keywords if you want to work in a product role, or top keywords if you want a different role entirely, right? And so what helped was you helped me think through bucketing all of this information together, right? And to create a comprehensive LinkedIn, frankly, for that matter. And what helped was having check-ins for this too, right? Like on Tuesdays, there were office hours where if I had a question, I can pop in, ask my question, and then kind of listen to what other people's questions were and listen to what other people's pain points were and learn from all of that. The other piece of this for me is that I've always struggled to negotiate for myself when it came to the final step in the process, right? What does that look like and how to push back and what's reasonable, right? And so there were some scripts that you included that I could initially follow, at least in the initial conversations with even a recruiter on, okay, it looks like we don't really have budget, but are you willing to even interview to see where we can get to? And so you had some really interesting ways of framing the conversation and my answer to that, which I found helpful. What I think helped was an initial conversation you and I had where essentially I described the function of what I was doing, but the title at HP didn't necessarily correlate to the function until you told me, oh, you actually were a senior product manager. So that helped give me the latitude of, oh, this is what I want to put on LinkedIn. This maybe helped in the process of a recruiter seeing that I was an ex-HP, that I had all these buzzwords that the recruiter may capture easily. What was great about that is because you helped me craft what my title was, that probably helped me find the new chief of staff position, right? I wouldn't have done this initially on LinkedIn, but when you'd essentially told me to put, these top buzzwords on problem solving, XHP, executive communication, etc., that probably helped in terms of bubbling up the keyword in my name to the recruiter's perspective. It helped me essentially get an interview. And so I felt a lot better and um, more confident about what I was walking into and what I was interviewing for. If you're looking for support, if you're looking to move out and into a different space, this is the place to find that support. And frankly, it's a space to find that North Star, to figure out what steps do you need to take that's more tactical to figure out where you want to go to.